You don't lose respect all at once. Nobody looks you in the eye and tells you they think less of you. It happens in silence, in the group chat they leave you out of, the plans they cancel with a one-line text, the way they talk over you like your sentence never started. And because it never happens in one big moment, you tell yourself it's nothing. You make excuses for people who never once made an excuse for you. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people don't lose respect because someone attacks them. They lose it because they let 100 small disrespects slide, one at a time, until disrespect became the baseline of the relationship. And the moment that becomes normal, you stop noticing it's even happening. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, but he wrote to himself every night about a much smaller battlefield, the one inside his own mind, where he decided what he would and wouldn't tolerate from other people. He knew that the moment you accept treatment you don't deserve, you've already handed someone else the pen to write your story. Today we're going through 7 signs that someone doesn't respect you, not the obvious ones, the quiet ones, the ones you've probably already lived through and talked yourself out of. And by the end, I'm going to give you the one shift in thinking that makes it impossible for people to treat you this way again. Stay to the end for that last one. It's the one most men never apply, and it's the one that changes everything. Let's get into it. Sign 1. They cancel on you last minute, and it never costs them anything. You know the pattern. Plans are set. You've cleared your evening, maybe turned down something else to make it work. Then, an hour before, the text comes in. Hey, so sorry, something came up. Can we do another time? No explanation, no real apology, just an assumption that you'll say no worries and move on, because you always do. Here's what most men miss. It's not the cancellation that's the problem. Plans fall through. Life happens. The problem is the pattern, and the problem is what it reveals, that your time was never actually protected in their mind. If it had been, cancelling on you would have cost them something, a real apology, an effort to reschedule soon, some sign that they know what they took from you. Instead, you get silence, or worse, an explanation that doesn't even try to be good. Ask yourself something. If you did the same thing to them, if you cancelled last minute, over and over, with a half-hearted sorry, would they still be calling you back? Or would you have heard about it? The Stoics didn't obsess over how much time they had. They obsessed over what they spent it on. Seneca wrote that people are frugal with their money, but reckless with the one thing they can never earn back, their hours. Every time you rearrange your life for someone who won't rearrange theirs for you, you're spending a currency you can't refund. This isn't about cutting people off the first time plans change. It's about watching the pattern. One cancellation is life. A pattern of cancellations with no real accountability is a message. And the message is that your time is worth less than theirs. Stop absorbing that message quietly. The next time it happens, say something. Not an accusation, just the truth. This is the 3rd time this has happened, and I want to know it matters to you too. Watch how they respond. Watch whether they actually change or just apologize better next time. Because there's a difference between someone who respects you and messes up, and someone who's simply learned that you'll forgive anything without asking for anything to change. Sign 2. They interrupt you mid-sentence, and somehow every conversation ends up back on them. You start telling a story. 2 sentences in, they cut you off, not because what you said triggered something urgent, but because it reminded them of something about themselves they'd rather talk about. And you let it happen, because interrupting someone back feels petty, feels like a fight not worth having. But watch this pattern over weeks, not minutes. Notice how often you finish your sentences around them versus how often they finish theirs around you. Notice who asks follow-up questions and who just waits for their turn to talk again. This is one of the quietest forms of disrespect there is, because it doesn't look like an attack. It looks like enthusiasm. It looks like they're just excited to share. But respect isn't just about how someone treats you when there's conflict. It's about whether they treat your voice as equal to theirs when there's nothing at stake at all. Epictetus taught that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, that listening is a discipline, not an accident. A person who has never trained themselves to listen isn't just bad at conversation. They've never had to consider that your thoughts might be as worth hearing as their own. Here's the test. After you spend time with this person, do you feel like you were part of the conversation, or like you were the audience for theirs? You don't need to announce a boundary here. You need to stop performing the role of audience. Let a silence sit instead of filling it for them. Finish your point, even if they try to cut in, calmly, without raising your voice. Just don't stop talking. Watch what happens. Some people adjust immediately because they never noticed. Others get irritated that the audience stopped playing its part. That reaction tells you everything you need to know about which one you're dealing with. Sign 3. You only hear from them when they need something. Weeks of silence. No check-in. No thinking of you. Nothing. Then a message shows up. Friendly, warm even, and buried in the 3rd paragraph is the actual reason they reached out. A favor. A ride. Advice, access to something you have that they want. You do it because you're not the kind of person who keeps score, and that's exactly what makes you easy to use, not because you're weak, but because you're generous, and generous men rarely stop to ask whether the generosity is going both ways. Here's the distinction that matters. Relationships built on mutual respect involve people who show up in the ordinary moments too, not just when there's something to gain. If someone's presence in your life is directly proportional to their need for you, that's not a relationship. That's a resource being managed. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly that he wasn't put on this earth to be used as a tool by people chasing their own comfort. That's not cynicism. It's clarity. Recognizing when you're being used isn't the same as assuming the worst in everyone. It's just paying attention. Try this. The next time this person reaches out after a long silence, don't respond with the same warmth you'd give someone who actually stayed present in your life. Not coldness, just accuracy. Match their effort. If they only show up transactionally, respond transactionally. Watch whether the relationship survives that shift, or whether it quietly disappears the moment it stops being useful to them. If it disappears, you didn't lose a relationship. You lost a transaction that was pretending to be one. Sign 4. They make you the punchline in front of other people and call it a joke if you say anything about it. There's a version of teasing that builds closeness, the kind where everyone's laughing, including you, because it comes from warmth. And then there's the other kind. The comment that lands a little too specific, a little too personal, timed for maximum audience. You laugh along because reacting seriously would make you the guy who can't take a joke. So you eat it, in front of everyone, every time. Here's what's actually happening. They've found a way to say something real at your expense, wrapped in enough humor that you can't call it out without looking sensitive. That's not banter. That's a loophole, a way to disrespect you with plausible deniability built in. The test is simple. Does the joke only ever go one direction? Do they take the same kind of hit from you that they hand out to you? And when you do push back, even lightly, do they actually stop, or do they double down and tell you you're being too serious? Seneca wrote that we should never let another person's opinion of us determine how we carry ourselves. But that doesn't mean you owe anyone your silence while they use you as material. There's a difference between not needing everyone's approval and quietly funding someone else's status by playing the fool. Next time it happens, don't perform outrage. That just gives them a bigger reaction to enjoy. Just stop laughing. Let the silence sit there, uncomfortable, until someone else in the room notices it too. People recalibrate fast when the laugh track disappears, and if they don't recalibrate, if they need you to keep playing the punchline to feel funny, that tells you the joke was never really a joke. Sign 5. You find out, always secondhand, always later, that they didn't say a word in your defense when someone talked about you behind your back. This one stings differently than the others because it's not something they did to you directly. It's something they didn't do for you when it would have cost them nothing but a little social friction. Someone made a comment, maybe even a joke at your expense in your absence, and they just let it happen. Nodded along, maybe even laughed. You don't need everyone in your life to go to war for you, but there's a baseline, a bare minimum of loyalty that says, when my name comes up and I'm not there to speak for myself, the people who claim to respect me won't stay silent while I get diminished. Marcus Aurelius wrote about the difference between people who are with you and people who are merely near you. Proximity isn't loyalty. Somebody can be in your life for years, at every gathering, in every group chat, and still never once have your back the moment it actually costs them something to have it. You usually find this out by accident. A mutual friend mentions it, or it slips out months later. And when you do, you have two choices. Pretend it doesn't change anything because confronting it feels dramatic, or actually sit with what it tells you, that this person's respect for you has limits, and those limits show up exactly when you're not there to see them. Bring it up directly, once, calmly. I heard you didn't say anything when that happened. I want to understand why. Not to start a fight, to see if they even understand what loyalty means. Their answer will tell you whether this was a one-time lapse or a pattern you've been missing for years. Sign 6. You're expected to respond within minutes, but they take days to answer you, and somehow you're the one who ends up apologizing for the mismatch. You know this rhythm. They text, and if you don't respond fast enough, you get the follow-up. Everything okay? You've been distant. But when the roles reverse, when you're the one waiting, hours turn into a full day, sometimes more, no explanation, and if you bring it up, suddenly you're being too much. This is a power dynamic disguised as a communication style. The unspoken rule is that your attention is owed on demand, but theirs is a favor you should be grateful for whenever it arrives. And most men accept this rule without ever naming it, because naming it feels needy. It isn't needy, it's just math. If someone's time and attention toward you is genuinely valuable to them, it shows up consistently, not just when it's convenient for them, while yours is expected to show up on command. Epictetus taught that some things are within our control and some aren't. But how you allow yourself to be treated is squarely within yours. You can't force someone to text back faster. You can absolutely stop treating your own response time as a performance you owe, while theirs is a gift you should be thankful for. Try matching their pace, not out of spite, but out of accuracy. Respond to their texts with the same rhythm they respond to yours. Don't announce it. Don't explain it. Just let your behavior reflect the actual balance of the relationship instead of the imagined one. Two things happen from here. Either they notice and adjust because they hadn't realized the imbalance, or they get irritated that the double standard stopped working in their favor. Both outcomes tell you something you needed to know. Sign 7, and this is the one most men never catch because it's disguised as an apology. Something happens, they hurt you, disrespect you, let you down, and when you bring it up, you get the words, "I'm sorry." Sometimes even a good performance of remorse. But 2 weeks later, the exact same thing happens again. Same excuse, different day. "I was stressed. I didn't mean it like that. You know how I get." Here's the distinction that changes everything once you see it. An apology is not proof that someone respects you. A changed pattern is. Words are cheap, precisely because they cost the person nothing to say and cost you everything to keep believing. Anyone can say, "Sorry." The question that actually matters is whether the behavior that required the apology ever stops happening. Marcus Aurelius never wrote about forgiving people who wronged him without expecting anything to change. What he wrote about was clarity, seeing people exactly as they are, not as their words describe them, and choosing your response based on the pattern, not the performance. This isn't about becoming bitter or refusing to forgive. It's about refusing to confuse an apology with an ending. Here's why this one matters more than the other 6. Every sign before this one you could talk yourself out of individually. 1 cancellation, 1 interruption, 1 joke. But sign 7 is the pattern underneath all of them. It's the reason the first 6 keep happening. Because somewhere along the way, you accepted that words were enough. You accepted sorry as the full transaction instead of the opening line of 1. So here's the shift. The one thing that changes how people treat you permanently. Stop responding to apologies. Start responding to patterns. The next time someone says sorry, don't answer with, "It's fine." Answer with time. Watch what they do over the next month, not what they say in the next minute. If the behavior changes, that's respect proving itself. If it doesn't, no apology, no matter how well delivered, means anything at all. This single shift is what separates men who keep getting disrespected by the same people in the same ways for years, from men who stop the pattern the first time it repeats. Not through anger, not through ultimatums, just through refusing to let words substitute for evidence ever again. Here's what ties all 7 of these together, and it's not what most people expect. It's not about becoming harder, colder, or more guarded. It's about accuracy, seeing people exactly as their patterns show you, instead of as their apologies describe them. Every one of these 7 signs is quiet. None of them are dramatic enough on their own to justify walking away from someone. That's exactly why they work, because you can rationalize any single one of them in isolation. It's the accumulation that costs you. 100 small compromises, each one too minor to fight about, adding up to a version of your life where you've trained the people around you to expect less from themselves and more from you. Marcus Aurelius spent his life ruling the most powerful empire on earth, and the thing he wrote about most obsessively wasn't conquest. It was self-governance, the discipline of deciding deliberately what you would and wouldn't accept, instead of letting the world decide it for you by default. That's the real skill here. Not becoming someone who expects perfect treatment from everyone, because that person doesn't exist. But becoming someone who notices the pattern early, names it honestly, and responds with consistency instead of quiet resentment that builds for years before it finally explodes. If you recognized even 2 or 3 of these signs in your own life this week, that's not a reason to panic, and it's not a reason to burn every relationship down tomorrow. It's information. Use it. Watch the patterns instead of the apologies. Match effort instead of over-giving by default. And the moment someone shows you consistently that your time, your voice, and your peace mean less to them than their own, believe that pattern over anything they say to smooth it over. You don't need to become cold to protect your dignity. You just need to stop being the only one protecting it. If this helped you see something in your own life a little more clearly, that's exactly what it's here for. Take one of these 7 and watch for it this week. Just one. And decide calmly what you're actually going to do the next time it shows up.